Good evening, friends. My name is Harjeet Singh. I have learned from my parents and my teachers that knowledge grows when you share the knowledge among the people. Recently, I have started reading a book called Screw It, Let's Do It by Richard Branson. Richard Branson is actually a British business tycoon, book author, and philanthropist. Every human being have some inspirations in his or her life, but the first guru of every human being, the first inspiration of most of the human beings, is his or her mother. The same is applicable in case of Richard Branson too. Richard Branson has shared the first positive incidents of his life, which has led to a never give up attitude, was of her mother. Her mother was a true example of a fighter, of a never give up attitude, of a passion, and passionate enough to achieve your goals and accomplish them. Her mother's name was Eve. She wanted to become a pilot, so for becoming a pilot during the War of Britain, she went to Western Fields for the job of a pilot. She was told that you cannot become a pilot because the first eligibility criteria for becoming a pilot is to be a male. She never gave up. She kept her passion alive. Rather, she wore a leather jacket, she tied her hair, she wore a leather helmet too, spoke in a deep voice, which finally got her job of a pilot. She not only became pilot, in the later phase, she became so trained, she started training the new joinees too, who fought for the Britain in the Battle of Britain. But once the Battle of Britain was over, she wanted to become a air hostess. But during that time, to become a air hostess, you have to know the language. The language was Spanish. You have to be a trained nurse. She had none of those criteria with her, but she used her intelligence. She chatted with a night porter who was making a list of air hostesses who will board the flight and who will be on the flight to the other country or in the England. She got herself selected because of her passion, her intelligence, and her never gave up attitude. She never gave up. Her never give up attitude has led to accomplishment of both the objectives of her life. First, she wanted to be a pilot. Second, she wanted to be an air hostess. She has kept the belief in herself. She has kept her passion alive. She has kept her dedication and discipline in the right order, and she pursued, and with perseverance she achieved of becoming a pilot as well as air hostess. So the first lesson Richard Branson is teaching us through this episode is that be passionate. Be passionate with a never give up attitude, because passion is the genesis of genius. And if you have never give up attitude, you will definitely accomplish your goal. Everyone has a grandfather in his life. Everyone has a grandfather in his or her life. It is applicable. So sometime if I miss the word his or her, so that is applicable for both the his and her. Now we come to the second episode. What happens? Richard Branson's cousin grandpa's name was Robert Scott. Robert Scott was known for his accomplishments of going to Antarctica. Robert Scott was the first person who had flown in a hot air balloon to the Antarctica. Now he wanted to be a first person to reach the South Pole. So the two people started the journey. One's name was Roald Amundsen, other was his grandpa Robert Scott. When finally they reached the South Pole, Roald Amundsen was the first person who put his foot on the South Pole. So the first person to reach South Pole was Roald Amundsen. Her, his grandpa was so depressed. His grandpa was so depressed that on the way back from his journey, he died because he could not bear the brunt of coming second. So everyone remembers the name of the first person. No one remembers the name of a second person. Whether we talk about the first man who landed on the moon, we always talk about Neil Armstrong. When we talk about the first person to reach South Pole, it was Roald Amundsen. Although Robert Branson's grandpa reached South Pole, but he was the second person. So the second thing which Richard Branson is telling us, just do it. Just do it. Plan it. Be disciplined. Be dedicated. Have a passionate, victorious attitude towards life and try to be number one in each and every sphere of life, because you have to be number one, because everyone remembers the name of first person who accomplishes anything. No one remembers the name of second person. So through these two incidences we have learned that we have to have a just do it attitude. We have to live the life to the fullest. We have to never give up attitude, so that we are able to achieve our accomplishments by achieving our goals, by bridging the gap between goal and accomplishment through the bridge called discipline. Thank you very much, dear friends.